Okay. The district operates on a fiscal year basis, which is July 1st through June 30th. The annual operation and maintenance, the O&M budget of any agency is stated planned for the upcoming fiscal year to provide services. At the May 2nd special board meeting, a preliminary draft budget was presented, which depicted the net positive budget for all the departments. Since May 2nd special meeting, the proposed budget has been reviewed and revised as needed to incorporate additional expenses and revenue information in all the departments. From the water and the wastewater budget revenue numbers are predicted on the implementation of a second rate increase for the rate study. If the second rate increase is not implemented, the water department will not be able to fund the necessary long-term maintenance or the transfer to capital for the construction of the wastewater treatment facility. In the water department, there will be a deficit budget of approximately $27,000. Due to the current litigation, that amount would be likely to grow to exponentially if the litigation drags on through the end of the fiscal year. This year, the district will be undertaking multiple projects as well as making staff changes. Although these projects and staff changes are incorporated in the budget, they may be implemented later in the year due to grant funding availability. If the projects start later in the year, then there will be a savings to this year's budget. Under fire, at the May 2nd meeting, the board approved a contract for an assistant fire chief, fire prevention officer. These contract costs are reflected in the proposed budget. Additionally, there is additional proposed duty coverage by fire captains, which has also been incorporated in the budget. For utilities, several months ago, there was a presentation to the board regarding divided personnel between the wastewater treatment facility and the field. The two additional personnel were initially factored in the rate study, and during the engineering study of the wastewater treatment expansion, it is also confirmed that two positions would be needed to maintain existing utility functions and to meet the new requirements for the wastewater facility. The proposed budget factors in dividing labor between the wastewater facility and the field and corresponding to the water and wastewater departments. This proposed budget also incorporates funds to hire at least one of the two positions for the wastewater and after the December 2019. After December 19. The exact time frame of hiring additional operators will depend on the progress of the design and the construction of the wastewater facility.
It is time to take testimony from the public. We request that each person who speaks give their name and address.
I'll speak.
Please sign in for me all. Thank you.
Am I supposed to continue down here?
That was perfect.
Oh no, it says continue.
Yeah, that is not really that.
Okay.
Owen Davis, 1401 Prado. Now this is my subject, the payroll. Does anybody know what the total payroll is and what it's gonna be? 'Cause that's a good part of the budget. I mean, we're talking about hiring, and we're talking about the employees went in to negotiate on their own. Has that ever been brought back?
Not as yet.
Well, that's pretty important, because the payroll is what bankrupts all these communities. It's bankrupt cities all over California, and it's bankrupted the pastoral school district. So that's very, very important. You know, the payroll. Not only the payroll, but the retirement, the benefits, and everything. I mean, we could be looking 10 years down the road, we can't even afford to pay the retirement. You know, so that is very crucial. So we need to know those numbers. Instead of, you know, just saying, well, we're gonna hire so many people, and so on. Okay, let's know the benefits, let's know what we're paying them, let's know what we're paying the existing employees. Because, I mean, hey, what do you got? 500, maybe 500 people that are paying the bills here in this district, and so on. So that's very, very important.
It is very important, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, you know, everybody needs to make a little bit of money, but where are you gonna get that money from? You're gonna get it, everybody says grants. Well, we pay the grants through taxes and so on. So that is my pet peeve with the district. And people need to understand that the payroll will bankrupt, especially a little district like this. It's bankrupted places like Flint, Michigan, which is Mr. Parent's favorite thing. He was talking about lead poisoning and stuff in a speech here not too long ago.
Is there a 3-minute time limit?
So, but yeah, what it is, you get people in there, they hire their friends, they hire their relatives, put them on a high payroll and everything, and the people get nothing other than, you know.
I haven't seen that here, Mr. Davis.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm just telling you what happens in other districts. I mean, it's happened all over California, Stockton, different places and everything. So we've got to really, because the payroll is probably one of the biggest expenses of this district.
It is, I think I'll speak for the whole board in this, that we're very cognizant of that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we also understand that this district can't function without people.
I understand that, yeah, I understand that too.
So it's definitely a fine balance, but we definitely
But
consider that.
I'm not talking about, you know, the people that are working now. I'm just talking, you know, when they retire after, what, 20 years maybe? And then they're getting paid as much, we're still paying them on down to the line. I mean, and so
Sorry.
that's pretty much all I've got to say. So, and I'm not gonna shut up, Parent.
Don't
asked
wait,
you,
that's
sir.
You
rude.
did too, you asked about the time.
Asked if there was a time limit.
Yeah,
Legitimate question.
yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
all right.
Yes, please. Let's definitely sign in.
Lutheran Gosman, resident of San Miguel. I forgot the paper I wanted to bring, but I can remember somewhat. I looked at the financials and I could figure out where the payroll was, where those figures are. It is spread out a little bit, but you can also add that up and get an idea of what percentage the payroll is of the rest of the expenses. And my feeling is for this district, it's not as high as most districts. This district's payroll is low, overall. So, that's not a major concern in my estimation. But I've missed some of the meetings, so, pardon me if I missed it somewhere. But last meeting, there was discussion about the change of percentages. That percentage being, like paper supplies, various things that are used kind of across the board for people. Used to be at one period of time an administrative account, and they're putting that back in the separation and using percentages. And the last meeting, those percentages were talked about being changed because I believe of an increase in personnel, meaning in my book, the fire personnel, because there was an additional position there, or an extended position. Not really an additional position, but an extended one. That change bothers me, and I'll tell you why. Fire does not have a big impact on the general services of the rest of the staff in comparison, from my perspective, to water and sewer. Just looking at the abundance of paperwork involved in in sewer and, what you call that, wastewater and water, and the amount of staff they have and are increasing, I don't think it should have been dropped or changed as much as it was. I think it was something like 22.5% for fire, which is up about 5.5%. And that means water and sewer could be dropped by that much. And I'm not sure I think that's commensurate with what's needed there. The other thing that bothered me a little bit was the amount of money for computer-related things. And I say that because last year, they had a lot of expenses in that same category. And I'm just not sure what it's for. And I know with new staff, you need more equipment or more of that sort of thing, but in looking at what's being spent presently for that, I'm wondering, so what else do they need for computers? And it's maybe me not understanding their whole category under computers of what they're spending that money for. Some of those items I realize can be budget adjustments as you go through, but they're just concerns I have, especially the percentage. I think that's something the board
Was
should
more of
look
a
at.
concern with equipment versus services, like IT services versus equipment?
Well, I know that IT services are gonna be a constant recurring thing, but it was, I think the category was computers.
Okay.
So that's different to me. And I know, in some categories, maybe those are needed for additional personnel or whatever, but I'm just not sure if I think, those are what they need to do. I have some other questions. Kelly answered those for me today. Clarified them for me, which was very helpful. I didn't have to bother with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public testimony? Seeing none, I think we can close the public hearing.
That's it, yeah.
And that's board.
Board
Yes,
comments?
I'm sorry, is there board comments? On the public hearing?
Well, the public hearing's closed now, so now you guys do your thing.
Okay.
Is there any response from the staff on the public comment about the computers?
Oh, so yes, there was some changes in our computers when we added one staff member that required some computer components to fulfill the need of the position on fire prevention documentation. Also, we had a failure on a computer module that we had to replace, and so we ended up replacing them at the same time based on our IT's recommendation. So there was two tough book computers purchased, and then some of the components to make those things function were involved. And since I've been here and where we were at with our computer system, as our IT described it, we were in the red zone and pending failure. So we upgraded to prevent that from happening, but we're gonna kind of constantly have upgrade issues that need to be addressed as we go along, and also, you know, the IT data, the systems themselves, as you well know, they don't last like forever, so we're trying to upgrade them and spread it out, and this is pretty much part of it. There's no, there will be some additional for this next year, changes, but we've also been able to accomplish a lot with what the changes. We've got our, SCADA system,
Training.
our training system and our Skype system separated. We were able also to upgrade to the tough books, and there'll probably be one more this next year, and then we have some stuff for the response equipment, and we're trying to get funding for that.
What's the current salary pool? Could that number be calculated?
I can tell you what that is if you want.
Yeah, it's public record, right?
You wanna know what?
I just wanna know what we're spending on, what are we projected in the budget for
This-
salary?
This budget is projected to be $562,698 for the current positions plus, the two utility positions. These are all full-time positions.
One more time on that number.
It's $562,698 is what is included in this budget. That equates to 24%. If you wanna look at payroll expenses, in total, those payroll expenses are projected at $225,830, which is 10% of the overall budget.
Was that one new employee or two, Kelly?
That's the two new utility personnel, and that includes the fire position as well also.
So there's eight positions currently filled into,
Which gives it for those combined positions, I mean, that's like 35%.
So altogether, including all the two projected positions, it's, well, it's 34%, give or take.
right, and that would be 10 full-time positions.
It's actually not too unreasonable. From my own research, most of the agencies are going into payroll problems. Their loading was, I think, starting at like 55% and greater. That's when they start running into massive problems.
55%?
I think it was like